Imagine for a second that you're clinging to the side of a speeding train. You scramble up to the roof, the steel is shaking violently under your sneakers, the wind is screaming in your ears, and your body is absolutely maxed out on adrenaline. That is train surfing. It's easily one of the sketchiest extreme activities out there. Honestly though, calling it a sport is a stretch. It's really just reckless thrill-seeking, not some official athletic event. It started decades ago in places like South Africa, Russia, and Germany, before spreading globally as this dangerous, daredevil subculture. But recently, one of the biggest hotspots for this has been New York. Picture a Saturday afternoon in Greenwich Village. Deep in the tunnels of the West 4th Street subway station, trains were thundering through the dark, their frames rattling the walls as they ripped past. For most people, it was just another boring commute. But for one guy, this was his opportunity. Police say he was riding on the outside of a southbound F train as it tore through the tunnels. He held on for a few moments, then climbed up top to feel that rush of air and the roar of the tracks. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you have played the mobile game Subway Surfers at least once. In the game, if you hop on a train and make the mistake of hitting a tunnel, you fly off in this goofy, cartoonish way, get arrested by the guard, have a laugh, and hit restart. It looks like Subway Surfers in real life is all fun and games, right? But reality is nowhere near that forgiving. It's actually horrible. As you can guess from this incredibly stupid and dangerous stunt, right as the man finished climbing up to catch a breath of fresh air, he got way more than he bargained for. A tunnel beam approached, and before he could even process what was happening, the impact was fatal. Because of the insane air pressure hitting his body, he was knocked down and caught underneath the moving train. At 3:11 p.m., a 911 call came in. Someone reported seeing a man slip beneath the subway cars. And sure enough, when officers arrived, the scene was a nightmare. They found him under the train, decapitated. Whatever adrenaline high he was chasing ended instantly, replaced by silence and pure horror in the underground. For the unfortunate commuters who had to pass the site, it was a grim reminder of the dangers lurking down there. But for the police, it was sadly just another tragic case of train surfing in New York City going wrong. These quick moments of thrill collapse into traumatic memories that strangers and loved ones will never forget. The adrenaline is never worth the risk. Your body is priceless. And while we're on that topic, the same goes for your mind. The whole reason I make these stickman videos is so you don't have to witness the real thing. Please, don't go searching for the actual footage online. The effect it has on your brain is awful, especially if you're young. Traumatizing yourself isn't worth it. And trust me, I can promise you that. Okay, picture this. It's the summer of 2013 in the Swiss Alps near Martigny. You have Mark Sutton there, who wasn't just some random guy, he was one of the boldest stuntmen in the world. If you watched the London 2012 Olympics opening ceremony, you actually saw him. He was the professional parachutist who famously dropped into the stadium dressed up as James Bond right alongside the Queen. But sadly, this junk wasn't going to end with a standing ovation. Sutton took the leap in his wingsuit, soaring across the valley. For exactly 20 seconds, it was pure adrenaline. He was gliding like a bird at over 120 miles per hour, looking exactly like those best wingsuit proximity flying clips that always blow up online. It was a view almost no one on Earth gets to see. But then, literally in a heartbeat, it was over. Right at the 20-second mark, he lost control. His path drifted just slightly off, and before he could fix it, he slammed directly into the mountain ridge. The crash was devastating when they found him. The impact had been so bad that they actually needed to use DNA scans just to confirm his identity. Later on, investigators went through the footage to figure out the cause. But honestly, nobody knows if it was a math error, a sudden gust of wind, or just that razor-thin margin of error you deal with when wingsuit flying goes wrong. Regardless of the reason, the result was the same. We lost a true pioneer of the sport, a man his friends called fearless and unforgettable. He spent his life chasing moments most of us only dream about, but this tragedy showed that in extreme sports, 20 seconds is all it takes to seal your fate. Let's talk about the slamming incident. Picture the Swiss Alps under a cold April sky, the snow glistening perfectly. For this 21-year-old world champion, this wasn't just a mountain. It was her playground, her stage, and honestly, her destiny. She had already crushed countless competitions and practically carved her name into the snowboarding history books. But on this specific day, the mountain decided to carve back. She was actually being filmed for a big project, showcasing her insane skills as she cut across those steep alpine slopes. The cameras were rolling, her board was slicing through the powder, and everything looked flawless. Then, without any warning, the snow itself started to move like a lot. In the blink of an eye, a massive avalanche broke loose. Tons of snow and ice thundered down the mountainway faster than any human could ever hope to outrun. You have to understand, on average, avalanches move at about 80 miles per hour. At that speed, there is enough force to flatten a building, crush rocks, or snap trees like twigs, all of which get swept up in the chaos. It hit the woman with the impact of a speeding truck, and she was swallowed instantly. It was the nightmare scenario you see in those snowboarder caught in avalanche videos, but this was tragic reality. Rocks, debris, and heavy ice tore at her body as she was dragged through the snow until it finally ground to a halt. When the avalanche stopped, she was missing. She lay buried alive deep inside that frozen mess, crushed and disfigured. Rescue teams rushed in, digging frantically through the snow, desperate to find her. But by the time they did, it was already too late. Even with safety gear and detectors, the force was just too overwhelming. This woman, one of the brightest young stars in the sport, was gone in seconds. It proves that even champions are fragile against nature. If you're an outdoorsy person like me, always stay alert to the dangers out there. So let's talk about the infamous Red Bull incident. Imagine the arena is absolutely packed, the vibe is electric, and you can feel that intense rhythm of tradition in the air. Center stage, a matador is staring down his opponent. But this isn't another fighter or just some guy, it's a bull weighing over half a ton, literally bred for power, speed, and pure rage. At first, the fight went exactly how you'd expect. The matador waved his red cape, the bull charged, and the crowd roared at every single close call. You have to realize, this wasn't an amateur. This 39-year-old Spanish legend had 2 decades of experience and was considered one of the best to ever do it. He would toss his cape to the side, effortlessly dodging the beast's charge, then set up to do it again just to hype up the crowd. But then, in a heartbeat, the energy shifted. He set his cape up for another pass, but unexpectedly, the bull caught him. This quickly turned into one of those viral moments when bullfighting goes wrong. The bull slammed into the matador's face with such brutal force that the horn actually struck his skull, fracturing upward through his jaw and exploding out of his eye socket. He was hit directly in the head by a 1,000-pound animal, which effectively split his face in two. The entire crowd went dead silent as blood poured onto the sand. The matador dangled helplessly, ragdolled on the horn until the animal violently thrashed him off. The most horrifying part: the man was fully conscious. He stood up looking like a zombie and started screaming that he couldn't see, sending the crowd into a total panic. Other fighters rushed into the ring to distract the beast and drag his body to safety. Again, just to be clear, his face was split, his teeth shattered, his jaw and cheekbone fractured, and the horn had punctured his eye and gone right through his skull. But to everyone's complete shock, the man actually somehow survived. The horn had missed his brain by mere millimeters. Against all odds, he returned to the ring less than a year later to continue his passion. Juan Jose Padilla is now known worldwide as the Pirate of Bullfighting. Then, in 2018, he had another horrible accident where he was partially scalped by a bull. Honestly, the man might actually be invincible because he survived that too and went back to the sport again. Extreme sports are, well, pretty extreme. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with living life to the fullest. All I'm saying is that adrenaline makes you feel invincible, but reality has no safety net. So, always make sure the risk is actually worth the reward. As always, have a happy day.